Hey, what's up? DelVecchio here from websiteprofitcourse.com. I do most of my work from home, and I think that's a big selling point for people that feel stuck in an office job. But I got to tell you, while there's a lot of good sides to it, there's definitely negatives, and it takes a certain type of personality and grit to kind of work through and become successful while working at home, and that's what I want to talk about today. The best benefit is that you have full control of your time and you're your own boss. And that doesn't mean that you're never going to interact with other people and collaborate with other people. But I realized really early on out of college that I didn't want a job. Like, I just had way too many things going through my mind. I was interested in way too many things. And I knew if somebody told me, you have to work on this project, there was almost no chance that I would be fully compelled and interested in working on that project. I needed my own direction, and that was the only thing that was going to keep me interested long term. And I kind of had the feeling that if I went into the job world and started making money, that you will fall into a trap where you want to get out of it, but you build up a lifestyle based on whatever income you're making. If you don't have a side project, it's hard to just leap out of that set income. But what's the flip side of that? You might get stuck in a job that you don't like, and you're wasting 8 to 10 hours of your life every single day. And I don't think that's a way to live. The thing is, there's no bad time to change. Don't think it's too late. The best thing you do is just start right away. And that's the only way you're going to find work that you truly enjoy. Because even if you have an idea of what you want to work on and maybe create a business with, chances are that once you start working on it, your plans are going to change a little bit. That doesn't mean they're going to, flip 180, but you might realize going in one direction is not that great of an idea, but you might find another area that's adjacent to that that's a good idea to go into. And you're just never going to know unless you start working on it. The other big factor for me is that with a salary job, obviously you have a great level of security, but there's no incentive to working harder. Most of the time you're just getting paid for showing up and doing your work. And obviously, if you want to get promoted in that job, if you do actually enjoy the environment that you're in, you're going to work hard to try and, increase your salary that way. But how many people, feel that they're not getting paid what they should get paid? Maybe they got an increase of like $3,000 to $4,000 on their salary when they felt they deserved $10,000. You're completely relying on a company, number one, to pay you, and number two, not to fire you, in a bad economic environment. Even though it's harder to build up your own income, when you do, and when you diversify it, you can create stability. And obviously the incentives are way more aligned for you to continuously learn, get better, and do more effective work. And something for me, like I have a couple people in my life, family, friends that commute crazy distances. Like they spend maybe 2 or 3 hours a day in traffic. And to me, that is like a ridiculous amount of wasted time that you're not getting compensated for. So I kind of live my life the opposite of society. I never go out during rush hour. I always go to the store, around 1 p.m., 2 p.m., or maybe 8 p.m. I always avoid those busy times because I'm the type of person, I don't like sitting around and doing nothing. I want to be either reading, working, or, fully enjoy my time being entertained. I don't want this, sitting in traffic and feeling like you're getting nothing accomplished. Now, things are a little different nowadays because of podcasts. I think one of the best ways to learn is through podcasts, and actually I've learned a lot of business stuff just by following people in the business world and in the tech world over a long period of time, and a lot of that is done through either their website, their blog, or a podcast that they have. I would just tell you that if you are in a job where you're sitting in traffic, take advantage of that time and don't listen to music. Listen to things that are going to improve you and push you forward. Now, here are the negatives of working from home. The first is that people really take for granted how hard it is to create your own schedule. And this is kind of funny because I was like the best person in college at keeping a calendar, writing down all my tasks, my homework, and I was killing school. I did great in school. And then as soon as school was done with, as soon as I got out of college, and I realized that I wanted to do my own thing, but I didn't have that structure, it took a long time to figure out what that structure should be. And then on top of that, I did a lot just in really long chunks of work without scheduling anything. And within the last, I would say maybe 18 months or so, putting everything on a calendar has been my top priority. And I'm telling you, it's taken that long for me to get good at it. I'm not even that great today, but I'm way, way better than I was, when I first started. And I think one of the, first things to note is that when you're building a schedule, you're almost always going to overestimate how many things you can get done in a day. And on top of that, you're not going to be that good at figuring out how long each task takes. It took me, many iterations of going through similar projects to get a feel for how long things took me. You got to give yourself some breaks in between. I would schedule things like 6 straight hours of work, and there's no way in the world that you can work 6 straight hours. So the way that I took charge of that was by using Google Calendar. I put everything on Google Calendar, and then I created a time tracking spreadsheet that really kept me accountable. So I want to share that with you. I'll include a link here in the top right and in the description below where you can download a free copy of this, which right now it's a Google Sheet. Maybe I'll also include a Microsoft Excel version as well. But I also have some automation built into that, which will automatically track from Google. So if you're interested in that and you use Google Sheets, definitely check it out. The next thing is that, you got to deal with failure. If you're trying to make your own income, that means selling. And most people are really bad at selling and they avoid selling. And on top of that, they have a negative connotation of what selling means, when in reality, the best skill that you can have in life is, well, actually, probably the 2 best skills are time management and learning how to sell. Because if you're getting a job, all you're doing is selling yourself. And I can tell you nowadays, so many people rely on their college degree and a resume to get a job, and they wonder why they don't get responses. And the answer is because, nowadays, employers can do research on you and figure out who you are through social media and all these online channels. The people that actually put themselves online and are transparently passionate about a topic, whether it's on their own blog or on a YouTube channel, they're way more likely to get opportunities versus somebody who's just sending a 1-page sheet of paper. And so in a lot of ways, you have to put yourself out there over and over and over again, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. But through that process, you're going to figure out a lot about yourself, which I think that's the hardest part about selling. People think they're not good enough. And I think the other thing is people overestimate, how good they need to be to charge for something. And that's a way to procrastinate, where you're constantly learning a new skill, but you're not learning how to sell that skill. And, when you combine those two things of trying to figure out how to schedule your time, dealing with failure, you're going at it alone most of the time, working by yourself. And that makes motivating yourself over a period of months or years really hard. So many people tap out within the first few weeks or maybe couple months of trying something. It's not working, and they don't pivot. They don't try new things, and they go back to the safety of getting a job. So I think a big factor of working from home is that, number one, you have to be incredibly self-motivated, and you have to be able to deal with lonely times. But on top of that, you need to figure out ways to go out and do things maybe at a coffee shop or whatever it takes to put yourself around other people when you do feel like you're lacking that motivation. And lastly here, of course, you're going to be doing the work that you love, but when you're running a business, that means you're going to be doing other business tasks like accounting, marketing, communication. You're going to be writing more. You're going to end up having a lot of other tasks to put on your schedule on top of the work, the creative work that you want to do. This is a really big reason of why I found scheduling so hard. It was because every time I felt like I was close to caught up, other things would happen, new things would pile up. And then on top of that, I wrote about this, which I'll link this article up. Your family and your friends can actually be a huge hindrance to working from home. It can sound a little bit harsh, but when you work from home, people don't have the same respect for your time as if you have a job. If you have a job, people know you're off limits from 9 to 5 every single day. That doesn't work when you're at home. People think you're available. And I've talked about all the different things that people have asked me to do, whether it's signing for a big package that's getting delivered to their house and they're going to be at their job, picking somebody up from the airport, or dog sitting, or anything. I've had so many requests, and the thing is, those people don't realize that you're getting those requests from everybody else in your social network. They all think it's just them asking you to do one quick thing. And if you don't take full control of your time and learn to say no to some of these things, it's going to be really hard to organize and do all the things that you need to do to run a business. And then on top of that, once you start getting customers and clients, you start having to deal with the customer service side. You kind of have to be quick to respond. You don't have to do things immediately, but normally you have to respond to things within 24 hours or else people start to get antsy. A big part of running a business is really that communication side and then managing expectations so people know when you're available and when you're not. And I just wanted to give you a quick look at my ideal day. This happens probably 10 to 20% of the time, but like if I could structure my life to do this every single day, I would. This is really funny because I like getting up early. My ideal day starts about 5 a.m. When I was in high school and college, I trained myself to be a night owl. I stayed up until 4 or 5 a.m. routinely. I realized that really was negatively affecting my productivity and also just my mindset. I was feeling, a little bit more depressed and didn't have that same energy when you're getting up late in the day and you barely see the sun for most of the day. And then on top of that, I wanted to, take control of my health and also start gardening. So I couldn't do that if I wasn't getting up early. So that kind of led me to flip my life around. And when you start with a workout, obviously that gets you in a more energized state. You're more clear-minded. You're thinking better. I like doing most of my creative work early in the morning. Really all my productivity comes between 6 and 10 a.m. I've realized by doing the scheduling that I would always put stuff on my calendar for later in the day, and I would always have to push back things that required a lot of mental energy. Nowadays, I realize that I want to do most of my work early, and then when the day starts becoming really nice, the sun's out, the weather's good, I don't want to be stuck inside. I always feel crappy if I'm inside doing work on a nice day, so I try and get out, go for a walk, go, play golf or do something like that in the middle of the day. And then if I have any things to take care of at the end of the day, I'll usually do them around 2 p.m., 3 p.m. And I try and get done most of my work by about 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. and shut off, because I'm the type of person that I could be on a computer all day, maybe not for really focused tasks, but just in terms of like reading new things, browsing the web. I'm huge into learning new hobbies and doing things like that. So it takes me effort to have to shut off. So just to finish up here, I think these are really the main things you have to do to succeed while working at home. Number one is use a calendar. It's really going to step up your time management skills and your ability to juggle all these different tasks. Every time you do a task, log as many of the steps as possible and create repeatable processes. And when you do that, tasks go from taking maybe 2 hours or 3 hours down to like 15 minutes if you really nail down every step and figure out ways to either automate or maybe outsource part of it. I don't think there's anything more important in life than creating positive habits. I'm 100% sure of this. I've been through years and years of trying to improve my habits because I had plenty of bad habits. I was bad at eating. I would eat junk. So it took me about a year or two to create better eating habits. I just mentioned sleeping, and it took about a year or two to create better sleeping habits and flip from being a night person to a morning person. This is really the path to get better in life. It's to add new habits all the time and try and get rid of bad habits because they also hold us back. And the thing is, habits take time. I don't think you can develop a habit to the point where it becomes mindless and easy to repeat until you do it for maybe a year. And I think a year to 2 years is kind of the minimum where you're not at risk of losing that habit if you don't do it over the course of like a week or two. I really think that's all it takes to reset a habit. If you take off for a week or two, that can really kill your progress even if you've been doing it for many, many months. So be patient with all this. You got to have a long-term view when you're trying to build your own business. You're not going to go from 0 to 70,000 in the first year. That's very unlikely. But you could definitely go from 0 to 15,000 in side income, and then the next year go from 15,000 to 30,000. That's the type of bridge you need to build before you quit your job. Don't just jump into the deep end and quit your job and have no income. I think the general rule of thumb is that you want to have 6 to 12 months worth of expenses covered, saved in the bank, if not more than that, just to be safe. But you got to find time, whether it's on weekends, nights, during the day, lunch breaks, to push the ball forward and do something every day, and that's the way to create the habit. And if you're ready to go on that long-term process, I got a couple things that will help you along the way. I already mentioned the time tracker tool. You can download a free copy of that spreadsheet at websiteprofitcourse.com/tracker, and I'll include a link here in the top right and also in the description below. I think one of the best things that everybody can and should do is create a blog, because a blog is basically the best form of resume that you can have. If you have an active blog about something that you're passionate about, that's going to help you either make money online or get a better job. In my view, there's no downsides to it. You're going to learn how to write better, communicate better, and you're going to add some tech skills. And I think that WordPress is the best platform to build a blog on. So I have free WordPress training that will get you set up. If you don't know anything about the online world, you'll learn about how to get your domain name, get web hosting, and install a WordPress blog, and you'll learn much more. So go to websiteprofitcourse.com/WP101 to sign up to that free training. And I'll also include a link to that here in the top right and in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell if you want to get notifications when I put out new videos. I'm finally at a point, now that I'm using a calendar, where I'm trying to publish a video every single week. So hopefully I can stick to that promise. And I can tell you the reason I didn't do it before was because I wasn't using a calendar. So now I know how long each step takes. If you work from home or want to work from home, you have any comments or questions, leave them below. And as always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Make sure you subscribe so you can join me on the next one. Thank you and have a great day.